Hey everyone, Daryl Lucas here. Right now, I'm mad. Really mad. And for once, it's not because of anything related to Donald Trump or the idiocy in the GOP. Nope. It's because that this weekend, I found out the hard way why it's so hard for survivors of sexual assault to come forward. And many of you know, even if you're not a hockey or sports junkie, that Chicago Blackhawks prospect Kyle Beach basically had his career destroyed just as the Blackhawks were making their run to the Stanley Cup in 2010, their first Stanley Cup in 49 years, when assistant coach sexually assaulted him. It turns out that several members of the Blackhawks brass, including then head coach Joel Quenneville, knew about it, but decided to basically kick the can down the road and defer any action to it until after the finals, supposedly because it would be distracting the players from making the final push against my Philadelphia Flyers. Fast forward a few years later, Bates finally speaks up, and after a lengthy investigation, the cover-up finally comes to light. Ultimately, several members of the Blacks front office at the time were fired, and by then, Quenneville, who had moved on to the Florida Panthers, was essentially forced to resign by NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, because rather than face the near certainty of a lengthy suspension pending the investigation of the matter. Now, there's talk this year, according to a recent article in Athletic, about Quenneville seeking another job, even though by all rights, Quenneville should have been banned from the NHL for life. Now, let's be clear. Even though Quenneville is the second winningest coach in NHL history, it'll take a general manager with a lot of wins and a real strong on base to even consider hiring him. And even then, in today's climate, it's not likely any owner would risk the backlash. We need only look at what happened when the Boston Bruins got the bright idea of trying to sign Mitchell Miller, a guy who spent the better part of his middle school years harassing a kid and still hasn't really come to a mature understanding about it, as evidence of what could happen if Quenneville even thought about getting another coaching job. And yet, several commenters in a thread on The Athletic actually got the bright idea to suggest that Beach brought this on himself. Now, most of you know, I don't exactly have the cleanest mouth, and I do cuss some, but this is the first time I can recall ever cussing a whole bunch in a comment thread. Because to put it in the most diplomatic terms I can use, to even suggest that a victim of sexual assault brings on himself is complete, unadulterated bullshit. And anyone who suggests otherwise is a depraved son of a bitch. Yes, I realize that's some pretty harsh language, but there is no other way to describe anyone who even think of blaming a victim for bringing his or her ordeal on himself in 2024. Now, if you want to know why it takes so long for survivors to come forward, if they do so at all, that thread proved why. Imagine someone who's been through that ordeal and thinking of coming forward sees that, especially if you're a guy around my age. I just turned 46 in January, or older, because until very recently, men were told to just suck it up. When it's that very attitude that at best can sometimes lead men to hold it in for years and have emotional problems, and at worst, sometimes turn into abusers themselves. This mentality has no place in any civilized society, and anybody who thinks that's okay deserves everything they get. Losing their jobs, getting banned from sites, whatever. This is a matter in which there is no other side. Period. Full stop. And I repeat, if you think it's at all okay to blame a survivor for their ordeal, you're evil and you're depraved. And you deserve everything you get. That is all.